Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at property address 3485 Southwest 106th Avenue here in Beaverton. We're located on the left side of the home, on this just adjacent to this big driveway here that goes back to the shop behind the home. About halfway down the house, near the hose bib here, we have a 4-inch ABS cleanout. We're going to insert the camera and check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Currently have water running, and we're going to zero out the foot counter here at the bottom of the cleanout. Off we go. Run into some standing water here right out of the gate. We'll assess this when the pipe's drained out at the end. Alright, now we transition here over to, looks like concrete. This would appear to be transite concrete. The ABS portion of the line there did settle. Looks like there's a little bit of a lip at the transition joint. But the line is clean. And when it comes to bellies, my theory on bellies has changed quite a bit over the years. I've been doing this for about 10-12 years now, and 18,000 scopes later, the way that I look at bellies is, especially in smooth plastic pipe like that, when you've got around an inch of water for at least 10 feet, that's where I start to consider repairs. I've also got to see buildup to make a case for why that repair should be done. If we're not seeing major buildup in the area, in my opinion, the repair is not worth doing. So anyway, we'll see how everything looks there. Once there's a certain quantity of water, that kind of ends, but anyway, we'll see how it looks. It looked fairly clean as we were going through there. And then we've reached the main here at about 57 feet. We're going to go locate the terminus here while the pipe drains out. Alright, located the camera head successfully. The line terminates at the main out here on Southwest 106th. Line exits out the left side of the home, shoots up the driveway out to the main. We're going to give this just a moment longer here to fully drain. Alright, the line is now down to just a slight trickle. Should be fully drained off here in just a moment. So that little stringy thing hanging down from the top of the pipe, it's kind of at the top left-hand corner of the screen right now. That is just a cobweb. That's not a root coming through the line there or anything. And then we have stem standing water out here. This dissipates out here at about 54 feet. We'll see how extensive that belly is there. That right there is at a 1/4 inch of standing water. And you'll also see the line is clean through here. We don't have buildup going up the side walls. And it looks like this one starts here around 48 feet. And houses that sit below grade like this, or the house and basement and everything sit down below the street level, what I've found over the years is even when you have theoretically enough depth to grade a sewer line, when the line comes out this far below street level, in almost every circumstance, you will have standing water in them. And I think that's just because you have a lot of extra ground sitting on top of the sewer line. It's got a lot more weight to deal with. I haven't completely figured out why that is, but it's a very common occurrence when you have this kind of setup. So, and being that that belly is out at 48 to 54 feet, the further out a belly gets, the least likely it is to cause a problem. This joint here does appear to have the top left and right part of the pipe joint there. Looks like you've got some dirt coming through it. That joint does appear to be compromised. It's not so much something that affects flow, at least at this point in its existence. But in theory, if a joint is allowing enough dirt and groundwater into the sewer line, it can cause hydro erosion around the pipe and cause the line to settle. It's possible you may have sewage escaping through that joint. It's more likely that stuff is coming in through the joint than going out through it because you've got hydraulic pressure on the outside of the line. You need a fairly large opening in a pipe joint for water to just simply flow out through it. Water takes the path of least resistance. But anyway, it's more of an environmental issue than anything. That one there as well looks like you've got some stuff coming through the top of the pipe joint. That one's a little harder to verify there, but that one looks similar to the one just in front of it. At this time, the joints are not affecting functionality, but anytime I've got a joint that is open, it's something I do have to recommend a repair on. That one also appears to have little bits of dirt sticking out of the top, which is not uncommon for concrete pipe at this point in its age. The joints start to fail over time. But the standing water in and of itself is not, out towards the end of the line there, is not something I would recommend repairing in and of itself. What I would look into doing here is an epoxy liner, which is completely trenchless. You won't have to tear the driveway up to do it. This one also has dirt coming through it as well. The line here did settle. It looks more significant where my camera's at because I'm up against the left side of the pipe. In the flow line, that joint is only offset, and that right there is just a cobweb hanging down. If I pull back here a little bit, that offset really isn't a whole lot more than around a quarter to maybe a half inch. We'll see how much standing water we have left over here. But when I'm looking for whether a belly is causing problems, the top of the pipe is a very important area. If a line is clogging frequently, you're going to have a whole bunch of debris stuck to the top of the sewer line, which in this circumstance I'm not seeing any of that. It's very clean and clear through there. So far all drained out. You've got, this is sitting around a quarter inch, just maybe slightly more than that. And then again, on the turn here, you have a little bit more standing water. It's somewhere around a half to 3/4. But as we come back from it, we drop back down to under a quarter inch of standing water. Hi there, puppy dog. And the vast majority of this belly here, right out of the gate, is at a quarter inch or less. You've got about 95% of it is at a 1/16 to a quarter inch of standing water, which in my opinion is not significant enough to tear the entire driveway apart and update that stuff. Sorry, I lost my picture there. I'm just going to push out her real quick just to, so I've got a measurement for any repair guys that may be doing the liner. So that what I would recommend updating here is from 15 feet to 57 feet. It's a little bit bigger section than I originally thought it was. But you've got multiple, I think there was at least 4 joints there I counted as we went through that have dirt coming through them, and they're throughout the sewer line. So, and this is a situation where I wouldn't recommend spot repairing those joints at this point. It would be way more expensive to do that. What I'd recommend looking into here is an epoxy liner system. And when they do that, they might be able to overlap this joint and smooth it out even that much more. But as it sits right now, the offset is not significant in my opinion. The flow line area, it's only about a quarter inch offset. Now, it's not a perfect sewer line, but based on how clean it is, it appears to be functioning adequately. The big thing when it comes to standing water is just not putting stuff down the line. You kind of treat them like a septic system. You don't put paper towels and tampons and grease and junk like that down the line. These people have been living here for a while and have managed to keep this line nice and clean. The big one is not putting grease, paper towels, feminine hygiene products, flushable wipes, that kind of stuff down, because the standing water will inevitably slow things down as they go through the line. But toilet paper disintegrates on its own, it breaks down, and there's no buildup on the sidewalls or anything that shows me that's clogged before in the past. So anyway, that is my opinion on it. I don't think those bellies rise to the significance of ripping the entire driveway apart and doing a complete full update here. Now, if you get a bid that is similar to updating the concrete section as to fixing the entirety of the sewer line for a similar price, go for it. That's a great idea. Yeah, I mean, ideally you have no standing water at all. There's just not enough there, in my opinion, to recommend updates on that. At least the first belly there. And when you do a liner, you're going to retain that little bit of standing water out towards the end of the line between 48 and 54 feet. There will be less of it because the liner is anywhere from an 1/8 to a 1/4 inch thick, so you will reduce the size of the belly, but especially the distance and insignificantness of that belly out there, it's not something I would ever recommend doing a repair on. It's very minor. And after any repairs are done, I recommend rescoping the sewer line to check the work. It's very important to do that. And however you do the repair, whether it's traditional or doing a liner, make sure it gets a rescope done on it. And again, if you decide to go the traditional route, that's where I would price out the difference of update or correcting the grade in this first 15 feet or so. The cost savings of doing a liner, it'll probably be about 1/3 the cost of traditional excavation. So that's why I think that would be a good way to go here. But anyway, at this time, we do have adequate flow to the main lateral connection. The sewer is functioning at this time in regards of conveying sewage. It's not functioning properly, at least in the concrete portion, in being a watertight sewer line any longer. And if you decide not to do any updates, I would rescope the sewer line every 2 years to keep an eye on things.